Hi, everyone. I'm Walter Anderson. It's great to be here, and it's a pleasure. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate the opportunity to join the meeting today and present. Um, today's presentation. It's really important. It's important to me. Hope it's important to you. It comes from the heart, and it's about really why risk assessments do matter. And so every leader I meet, whether it's a nonprofit, the directors or board members, small business owners, enterprise, even all levels of government, we all face the same invisible threats and blind spots. So it's not like the risk you see that will disrupt your operations. It's not the risks you see that will disrupt your operations, pardon me, but or drain your resources or erode your trust. It's the ones that you don't see, right? So risk assessments aren't just compliance paperwork. They're the bridge that moves the organization from concerned to confident. So a little bit about myself. I'm the founder of Port Secure Cybersecurity. Uh, I also serve as a Chief Information Security Officer for the Nanaimo Port Authority. I'm the chair of the Cybersecurity Working Group for the Association of Canadian Port Authorities. As well, I've joined the advisory board recently with SecurityStudio Academy. Um, I've held other positions in other boards over the years, including small nonprofits um, and Chamber of Commerce and United Way and so on. But more importantly, I spent more than 20 years helping organizations from ports and marine transportation and logistics, including small businesses and nonprofits, protect themselves against protect themselves against evolving cyber threats. So I know firsthand the challenge of balancing growth with security because I ran a managed services company for over 2 decades. So along the way, through my work with other boards and nonprofits and chambers of commerce and critical infrastructure, I've seen just how vulnerable organizations uh, can be. So that's why I'm here today. I want to share a practical, proven way to reduce cyber risk quickly and give you the tools to build resilience and for the long term.
Yeah.
So
And hey, Walter,
yeah,
if you said it, I missed it, but I did want to let folks know that Walter also serves as president for the ISACA British Columbia chapter. So he and I have been able to bond not only through Academy, but on the ISACA front as well.
yeah. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for bringing it up. Yeah. So ISACA is a chapter in Victoria, and so I'm not sure if you're familiar with our geology and geography, pardon me, in Canada, but Victoria is the capital city of British Columbia, which is a province in Canada, and it's at the southern tip of Vancouver Island. From San Diego, it's just north, about 4 hours by air. If you're in Seattle or anywhere near there, you can drive um, to the ferry, and it's about an hour and a half ferry ride to the Vancouver Island, and it's a beautiful island. It's about 300 miles long, and it's got beautiful coastlines and great surfing, diving, you name it, hiking. It's a wonderful place. It's God's country. Welcome to come and visit me anytime. I live in Nanaimo, which is the central Vancouver Island, but I travel to Victoria where our ISACA Victoria chapter meets. And then across the pond is the Vancouver ISACA chapter. So thanks for bringing that up, Dave.
Yeah.
Um,
And I do need you to remind, we do have some poll questions just to capture engagement and support of the CPEs and try and make this a little more engaging. So I'll be the Vanna White of the poll questions. And Walter, if you can just help me remember when we want to bring those up.
yeah, if you want to bring up the first poll, which is kind of like that I've given my intro, we're just going to get a sense of
Sure.
where we are. Yeah, and I seen the chat there. Yeah, I do know Dave Matthews and Mike. I will say hi, Henrik. Thanks for bringing their names forward. It's a small world. So, so just gonna set up the poll here for question number one. When I say top five
Oh,
cyber, sorry,
oh, you know what? Hang on one sec.
you're on poll number four.
I know.
That's okay. All
Yeah,
right.
you
Rewind. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's why I shouldn't be in charge of these things.
It's
But
all good, man.
oh, well, we'll come back. Let's go back here. And
So
there
while
we
they're
go.
doing that, I'll just set up the
Um,
first poll again here. Um, so we're talking about the five top cybersecurity risks, and I'm not talking about everything you see in the news and that sort of thing, but I mean, there's a handful of issues uh, that really disrupt your operations and cost money or erode your trust. So these kind of, for example, there's phishing, social engineering, ransomware, uh, weak access controls, third party exposure, vendor risk, unpatched, unsupported systems. So those are the kind of top five. And so this poll is just to get a sense of how confident you are that your organization really understands those. And you can see that
got a little bit of a lead in the somewhat confident.
somewhat confident. Yeah.
Varian has a small edge, has a two vote edge over not confident,
Yeah.
and we've got unsure
All
in,
right.
in the trail. So
Looks like
okay,
everybody's answered. Yeah. So it looks like for the better part, most people are confident or somewhat confident that they've got their risk covered, and that's great. And those who are not sure or not entirely confident, I mean, this is for you, obviously, and hopefully you'll get some value from today's presentation. So, all right.
cool.
Good.
Thanks, Rick.
Cool. Thank you. And move that all over the way. Okay. So back at it. And so here we lead on from uncertainty to confidence. So this side's it really it's about the journey from uncertainty to confidence that leaders face on a regular basis. So it contrasts. So there's the worried, chaotic state of leadership, right? So there's always, am I safe? Uh, you know, do leaders sleep at night? Are worrying about ransomware? Do they know that their organization is protected? Have they covered all of the bases or all the controls mitigated, or do you have compensating controls in place? And so the key message is that the risk assessments take away the guesswork, and they transform guesswork into visibility and strategy. So it allows organizations to move from sort of a reactive leadership more to more proactive or building trust and confidence with their stakeholders. So um, I would emphasize the importance of proactive risk management. And when you're talking to their leadership or in your leadership teams, um, so that you can guide them with confidence through any kind of uncertainty or something unknowing that's going on, whether it's in the organization or what you're hearing through industry feeds and news and media.
Hey, if I can add one thing to that as
Yeah.
well, is it's the way to get everybody on the same page. Whether you're the consultant or wherever you're at in the organization, it will help produce a unified understanding of where the organization is at in their overall current risk profile.
Thanks, Dave. Okay. So blind spots hurt everyone. And those are the areas, and I was just talking to an organization this morning. It was a third party of the port, and you wouldn't think that a small welding company would be a concern, but they had their email compromised. That, in effect, sent malicious emails into the organization and to all their other clients. And so, small office, 3 or 4 employees, sort of a do-it-yourself kind of setup on their email 365. And and so I spoke with the individual and I'm, reaching out to support him. But the thing is that he doesn't know what he doesn't know, and these are blind spots, and he doesn't know where to look. And he's not sure how the threat actor compromised his email, even though we had two-factor authentication set up. It's kind of a mystery, but because he has never had an assessment done, thinking that he's just too small and didn't need one, he has all these blind spots. And so now he's not sleeping at night and he's trying to figure things out and get business up and running again. So he's dealing with reputational damage as well as business interruption. So this is very common, and whether it's in your organization or um, in your supply chain, right? So for nonprofit leaders, it can be very personal, because they're not uh, it's not just afraid of hackers, they're afraid of failing the people they serve, right? So you're afraid of failing your customers, right? So and I've seen this firsthand more than once. Sorry, and then the story usually shifts from impact to an incident. But for small businesses and or medium enterprise, it's no different. Um, they trust their IT service providers. They assume that the backups are running until the day they're not. And then I've even had situations where they've gone to restore that and they found out that the backups actually haven't worked for a year and they've completely lost everything and there's nothing they can do to recover it because they weren't getting those metrics. There was no control in place to see if this was actually a functioning control and was working within the organization. Um, and then so in even more with enterprise, it's not just about losing data, it's credibility. So um, when it happens in the boardroom and unanswered questions become headlines, and it can be quite serious reputationally for enterprises, large organizations, and governments. So it's same across all sectors. The pattern's the same. Blind spots hurt everyone. But here's the good news. They can be found. So I have put together what's called a cyber resilience sprint. It works with a quick 2 week uh, assessment score and then a roadmap. And I use the SecurityStudio um, uh, S2 to provide that service, and it gives them a quick snapshot of where they are and where to look and where to get started and moving forward, and which can lead to future engagements. So it replaces the hope with clarity and the fear with control. So um, it's important that when leaders can see their risks clearly, um, uh, they just don't protect just the data within their organizations. They're protecting the people who work for them, and the organization, um, and the mission of the organization. So the key message here is that um, is that the threats that leaders fear most are often the ones they don't see coming, and the unseen can have the biggest impact. So so like through the three examples here, um, nonprofits fear failing the people they serve. Small businesses usually think they're too small to be targeted, and and enterprises just wish they had all the data, and they just lack visibility within the organization. So the overall theme is that blind spots, no matter the organization's size, can break trust, they can stall missions, it can erode resilience, and the unseen always cost more. So this sets up a really important need for solutions and strategies. So we'll cover these in the rest of the presentation and help, and our mission to help leaders identify and address these blind spots.
Cool.
Okay, so as an owner for managed services for over 20 years, I've got the calls. I'm seeing some of you probably have too, from one organization or another. And I remember distinctly a Indigenous First Nations organization who was encrypted with ransomware. They had all of their accounting data and other documentation on their servers encrypted. And unfortunately, the people who found out about this within the organization were very embarrassed and shy about reporting it until about 2 weeks later that we got the call. And by then, the threat actors had had plenty of time to encrypt everything, and accounting and operations are ground to a halt. Um, we were able to recover their systems through backups, but they lost weeks of work. Um, and it wasn't just so the blind spot wasn't just a lack of sophisticated defenses, but it was really a fundamental understanding of what their assets and then of their vulnerabilities, as well as the culture within the organization, that it's okay to admit that you clicked on a link and something's gone wrong and things are not working correctly, because the longer it's sort of not reported or kept quiet, the more time the threat actors have to cripple the operations of the organization. Um, so it was the really underlying issue with them was the oversight and risk planning, and it cost them not just time and money, but their members and member trust. Eventually, they did recover, but it was a loss, and I don't think that is a unusual story. I mean, it's quite common, but it's the same theme throughout the stories. So even as a CISO, where I've worked as a fractional CISO or as a virtual CISO with the Canadian Port Authority, I managed risk across critical infrastructure. So these are higher stakes, and so my focus when working with these organizations, it shifts from protecting just small businesses and safeguarding the flow of, but from to safeguarding the flow of goods and services for the whole national economy. Because with a cargo terminal, if there's no movement of cargo, if the containers aren't moving and the ships aren't moving, there are ripple effects across the country. And so these are higher stakes, obviously. And so, and then the defenses are, in many cases, you're defending against nation state actors, which are highly sophisticated, well-funded, and if not virtually impossible to stop and prevent from getting um, uh, into your organization and creating some serious damage. So the complexities here, and again, I mentioned supply chain vulnerabilities, but it's also making sure that we follow stringent compliance. So there's lots of regulations when it comes to federal organizations and agencies, marine transportation, not just at a regional or national level, but also at an international level. So it's understanding all of these complexities of uh, international regulations. And so often the blind spot is involved in the convergence of the physical, um, the cybersecurity, and then uh, inherent risk of legacy systems, because most cases they're still running legacy systems because of industrial controls, SCADA, or just antiquated systems and software. So these are all kind of challenges that I've faced, and then also not to mention with all the geopolitical stuff that's going on and the threats, it's not unusual that we have um, denial of service attacks. And just recently, we were able to deflect something like that happening. A couple years ago, it was published in the media that there was a number of Canadian port authorities that had a denial of service attack against their website. And we worked closely with the service providers to recover that. We discovered an interesting fact that um, even though you were hidden behind a web application firewall, which was Cloudflare, um, they were able to bypass that because of a wonderful tool that's out there on the internet for everybody. It's called the Wayback Machine or the Internet Archive. And so, just a tip for anybody: if you ever set up a Cloudflare and a web application firewall, and you didn't change your host IP address, all the threat actors have to do is simply go into the Wayback Machine, go back before you set up your web application firewall, look at your IP address, and target that directly. So it's a simple enough thing to do is to quick
Oh,
change that, but it's easy to bypass. So they're using a utility open to the public to discover your previous configuration. So interesting. We shared that with the authorities in Canada and the other port authorities, which aided in bringing them getting stopping the denial of service attacks and getting their systems back up and running. But a simple enough tactic that was easily exploited. So
so the tactic was to go after the IP address.
yeah, and so rather than the domain name, they went straight and through the distributed denial of service, sent all the traffic to an IP address. And so the hosting partner, the service provider, they were alerted because it wasn't just one website; it was on a shared server, which affected multiple customers of theirs. So once we discovered how they got in or what how they were bypassing that, we were able to fix the problem simply by uh, rebuild editing the IP address and restarting the systems and renaming the hosts, and that made them more invisible again.
Gotcha.
Right. Um, so
That's a good takeaway.
yeah,
Thank
it's
you. Yeah.
I've got plenty of stories, but I could talk all day long. Just as a president of ISACA Victoria, so I mean, I just got back from London, England, which was the ISACA Global Leadership Summit. There were over 92 countries. I know there's more. There's a close to 200 worldwide, but those were represented. There's about 350 people, 350 leaders, presidents, vice presidents, and other roles within ISACA there. And we spent 2 full days of leadership training, which was very informational, motivational, a wealth of information. And I think probably the most valuable part was establishing connections and networking with people um, all over the world, and sharing our challenges and our stories and what's working and what's not working, so we can leverage that. And I think that that collaboration with the ISACA chapters and other chapters, like I'm working with San Diego today, is invaluable. I mean, sharing knowledge only makes us stronger. So, um, and my mission as a new president for the ISACA Victoria chapter with a new board is to help those new board members grow in a leadership role and empower them and to teach them how to not only be better leaders within a board and an ISACA chapter, but also to grow in their personal growth and their career and their lives and help others. And so I heard stories of how um, um, talking to somebody who maybe was a student who was going through a career change, helping them see clearly and some opportunities that how much that changed their life, and not just their life, but their family's life, and gave them opportunities for college, education, their children, because now they had ability to do that because somebody was there to mentor them. And that's kind of the mission of, I think, with ISACA and even SecurityStudio is just let's let's fix a broken problem out there. Let's help organizations, help people build their and grow within their organizations to become better versions of themselves, in other words. So,
Sure.
anyways, moving on. Um, some statistics here, kind of sobering statistics. Most small businesses, if they're hit with a cyber attack, a ransomware will shut down, go out of business within 6 months, and nonprofits will just lose trust, and can fail as a result of that, or be seriously impacted. And 21 days of downtime is kind of an average ransomware impact, but it varies. and there are different stories. So take these statistics with a grain of salt. Um, but they're more of survival metrics than they are with IT metrics. Hang on a second. Background noise. Um, so when we want to turn risk into something real, or something people can feel, it's about presenting the framing, presenting and framing risk assessments, not just as a compliance and a checklist, but protecting the mission when things go wrong, right? So it's about positioning it like a health check. So it's you go, you get your doctor to get your health check. It's proactive. It's not reactive. You get your car tuned up. Being proactive is far more valuable as a positioning. Um, and then, it's the asking. It's just ask questions. Highlight the benefits for the board, the stakeholders, the leadership team. Um, you know, you want to show that you show your organization that it's resilient and that you're protecting their trust. So the overall goal is to turn technical risk talk, which can be dry or even go over most people's heads, into more of an actionable story. So sharing stories, using visuals, you know, try to support this in an empathetic, in a way to understanding. So I always suggest creating, more of a professional, uh, point and make the point, tell the story, and share the lesson, right? And so that's kind of a framework. Point story lesson. Not spump at PSL, not pumpkin spice latte, but point story lesson. And I think that's the way you want to present risk and assessments. And that way you'll get more reception. If you get too technical or we get into the geek speak with the leadership teams, you generally they don't understand it and they will push back or just don't want to hear it, obviously. So pitfalls. Again, we've talked about this briefly, but assessments get treated often as a checkbox, one and done, and but really they need to be taken seriously and done on a regular frequency, so at least annually. And it's identifying the real risks. It's not just satisfying your insurance policy, right? Or the myth of we're just too small to be a target, because we know that cyber criminals are targeting business of all sizes. Nobody's immune. My example earlier today, like small welding company with 3 employees was targeted to spread malware. What that malware would have done to other organizations is hard to say, but there was obviously a method to the madness. And waiting till the breach happens before taking action is like waiting to for your systems to fail before you back them up, or you know, uh, letting your vehicle run out of oil before taking it to the mechanic to put oil in it. So you want to be proactive, and prevention is always the key to costly incidents and mistakes. So, um, and then it's the spending money on the wrong safeguards. It's quite often, sometimes it will be vendors that will give you the new shiny, flashy boxes with sparkling lights and new software that does all these wonderful things and is going to save your business and solve all the problems. And really, it comes down to is just a simple risk assessment will help identify the right security controls that you need to invest in. And sometimes that investment is just making simple changes in business processes and procedures and the flow within data within your organization, and you're not really investing in any hardware or software. It's about understanding what those controls need to be and where you need to make those corrections. We're coming up here for another poll, Dave, pretty soon. I think we can slide
Oh,
one in after the
okay.
next slide or whenever you want.
Do you want to do this slide and then I'll launch that, or I can launch
Hmm.
it now?
Yeah. So so there's it's simply just one process, right? And so there's three scales if you look at it this way, where we talk about everyone from nonprofits to enterprises and everyone in between. That's the SMBs, the SMEs, and so the process is the same for nonprofits. It's lightweight, qualitative, focused on building trust and board oversight. So I developed a cyber sprint, which is a 2 weeks. We go through the assessment. We give them the score, and then we give them an executive summary, help them understand where those controls are, and a roadmap and a list of top priorities. Hand this off to your IT department, your company, your service provider, and these are the things that you need to work on to improve and to fix, right? And and for small businesses, it's prioritizing the IT spending. Where do you want to focus on your cybersecurity, your IT spending, so you have business continuity to keep the businesses operating. And then for enterprises, it's far more quantitative, and that's they may be focusing on shareholder values or maybe just meeting regulatory requirements or again business continuity. Just keep the business flowing, keep the cash coming in, you know, and you know what do we need to do to prevent a disruption or interruption in our business and
Sure.
revenues. So the core principle is the same across all organizations, and but the specific implement details are slightly vary and different based on the needs. So regardless of size, and that a framework is adaptable and it can benefit any organization. So, all right, Dave, we got a
Yeah.
poll.
I'm up already. Yeah. Hang on one second. Let
Poll number
me,
two.
yeah, there we go.
So, what's the biggest barrier to improving cybersecurity in your environment or role today?
Yeah, and while people are filling that out, Dennis had made the comment in the chat, appreciating your phrase of survival metrics.
Hmm.
And I
Uh,
think, I was kind of thinking the same way because that's a real good way. We'll often say that security is not an IT issue. It's an organizational issue. When you phrase it in the term of survival metrics, it really is more applicable to the organization at large.
yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely a people problem and it's culture and um, creating that cybersecurity or security culture within an organization is invaluable. And I've been working on that with organizations over the years. And if you can do it right, you get people talking about their security awareness training, hanging around the water cooler. And there's lots of great tools out there from KnowBe4 to Proofpoint to many more. I'm familiar with KnowBe4, and then there's one called they're kind of a Netflix kind of episode series, multiple seasons, called The Inside Man. I don't know if anybody's ever seen those, but it hooks the audience or hooks the staff and within the organization. And they actually come to me and go, when's the next security awareness training coming out? Because I want to see what happens to so and so because there's this drama that's taking place. But it
Right.
built around all types of cybersecurity and building a culture. So, how do we do in our poll? It looks like it comes down to limited resources, budgets, and staff. Very common theme. Leadership alignment. Quite often, yeah, it's trying. It is a struggle, and I face it all the time. Even just the other day, I was talking to the CEO and explaining him that importance of getting an assessment done, and he's like, "Well, why do we need an assessment?" And I had to kind of go back to the fundamentals. and explain to him why it's important and that it should be done, and the value and the benefits of doing one. Because he just didn't see it. And even though it was a top item on the board was cybersecurity, they just um, needs to get done. So in these cases, it's just like, well, let me do one quick complimentary version for you, give you a baseline, and then you'll understand what it is that you lack visibility in and where the blind spots are. And that's exactly that's important. So, uh,
Cool. Here, let me
all right.
share the results, but no, very, very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's enough of a representation under just unclear priorities or direction as well.
Mm,
Uh, that was interesting. So
okay. Oh,
back to you, sir.
all right. Thanks, Dave. So, risk assessments are like business insurance, and not to be confused with insurance policies, but it protects your organization from potential threats. It really is designed to help you recover faster when things do go wrong. So it's like you wouldn't drive a car without auto insurance. So why would you operate your business without knowing your true risk exposures, right? So, and I can't stress it more importantly that risk assessments are part of the critical part of safeguarding um, a business and its growth potential. And so it's actually an enabler of the business growth. It's not just about preventing accidents or incidents from happening. It's about being prepared to bounce back, the resilience when they do occur, because it's not if, it's going to be when. And when it does happen, are you prepared? Have you, uh, shone light in all those dark corners and that sort of thing? Um, and so, as a CISO or VCISO, the goal is to proactively identify these risks, to put the mitigation plans in place, be ready to respond effectively when an issue occurs. So I just want to emphasize that the importance of risk assessments, and they play a key role in overall risk management strategy. And so we talked about that in the previous poll, which is lack of leadership alignment. So this is quite common. Um, there's pushback. It's too expensive, or we don't have the time to do this, or we don't have the people, we don't have the resources. And these are simply objections, but um, the real the reality behind this is that it's really just about the cost, or it's about some it stems from some deeper organizational obstacles. So, and again, it is sometimes related to time, resources, and a capacity. Um, and so as a vCISO or fractional CISOs, I mean, in using SecurityStudio, we can help clear these obstacles, providing what we refer to as a complementary assessment. Uh, and this eliminates the barriers around the budget and time commitments. And so like my example of the CEO didn't think they needed an assessment is right, is to get this done and get it in place so that you can have clarity and confidence, which will then help them make a decision to move forward. Does that make a lot of sense? I hope it does.
Yeah, and if anybody's got questions about it, just drop them in the chat. Um,
Yeah.
um,
So, and again, this kind of is a ladder, so to speak. It's the value ladder. So, um, well, often organizations will just like, well, I just need a assessment. I just need to check off this insurance questionnaire so I can get cybersecurity insurance, or my insurance provider will you know allow my business to operate and or whatever. And we can't just stop it there, right? Uh, so so instead of sitting at the bottom with just compliance checklists and reactive audits, and this was just busy work, it doesn't really have any impact to the organization. We kind of move up the ladder. So to tactical fixes, address some of these immediate vulnerabilities, which is an important step. So getting the tactical work done sometimes early also gains more trust, more clarity, and momentum. So, but the real value is when you get to the top, which is um, a strategic resilience. It's where the risk assessments protect the mission of the organization. They build trust and defend value, whether it's shareholder or value within the company, perceived value, services and products that the company delivers. So we need to transform, and so the key is transforming compliance into confidence, right? So, and we do that by using a risk assessment or risk management to drive the organization's mission forward. So it's not just about checking boxes, it's about strategically understanding the business objectives and building the assessment around supporting those business objectives to protect the business to continue to do operations. And and this is how the organizations can climb the value ladder, spend more time doing strategic, high impact level work as opposed to taking boxes off. Mm-mm. And so again, we talked about guesswork here, and so businesses that thought they were too small and didn't realize their vulnerabilities. Um, um, uh, yeah, so this is kind of give you an example. I worked with a nonprofit recently, and we did a SecurityStudio S2 level one assessment. It's complimentary because they're a nonprofit, and they went through the questionnaire and assessment. We discovered what their biggest risks were, and that there were also human factors, culture, password reuse, untested backups. They didn't have agreements with their service provider. They didn't know what they didn't know, and but a lot of the solutions were simple and low cost. It didn't cost them any money. There was a simple low cost password manager, implementing MFA, uh, establishing a backup plan. So these kind of tactics or strategic steps helped the organization become more resilient, but they didn't have to invest a lot of money into getting that done. And so the outcome obviously is just more peace of mind, greater confidence, and a stronger foundation for growth within the company. So again, I just wanted to illustrate how important risk assessments are for organizations to get from the uncertainty to clear, actionable steps.
Yeah, and like you had said, it helps make sure the unknowns become known so you can be strategic in how you work to address them.
Yeah. Do we want to pop in poll number three?
We sure can, man.
Okay.
Hold on one sec.
It's, so the poll number three, as Dave's just getting that ready, is it's about professional development. And so what aspects of professional growth would interest you right now? And it can be advancing towards a CISO or certified vCISO, uh, and technical and mentoring, as well as just understanding and learning through real world case studies. And I want to thank everybody for participating. I mean, it's great to see
Yeah.
full participation here. We've got a good turnout today, I think, and I'm glad I haven't put you all to sleep
No, not at all.
because we know risk assessments can be quite dry topic. So I'll try to make it as interesting as possible with stories. Um, uh,
Yeah, no, excellent participation. And
yeah.
we've got, Walter, just 10-ish minutes or so. We can
Okay.
go over a little bit, but just to kind of do that clock check on ourselves.
Yeah. Thanks
Um,
for the time check. Yeah. Well, I'll move through this a little quickly because I can tend
sure.
to talk on and on and on.
No, all good.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it looks like about 75% of people can have the poll there. Do you want to?
Yeah, sorry, there's the results.
There's the results. Okay, great. Okay. So, aspect of professional growth that interests you more is expanding technical and risk management skills. Okay. Almost close to the advancing towards CISO role. So terrific. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, I participated in a national cybersecurity exercise representing the Canadian Port Authority here in Canada. There was about 650 participants, about 100 organizations, and we all did a 3-day tabletop exercise with a simulator. It was mind-blowing. It was very um, it really enlightened a lot of organizations, helped them practice their incident response planning, and even some of the leaders who were involved with those things got a good idea, a good glimpse of what it is and what it takes to go through a an incident. That I just recently was at the Defend the North in Vancouver, Canada, which is they have a holding these tabletop exercises. It's a full day event, and it's well structured. Got roles from all kinds of all leaders within the cybersecurity and security industry. I mean, a large number of CISOs and other leaders, and they go through this scenarios of tabletop exercises. And this recent one was just about similar to the London drugs and or the Marks and Spencer threat. It was a retail industry was taken out by a third-party supply chain. And I won't go into the details of that, but I just wanted to say that these types of exercises and help reveal really critical blind spots that could halt organizations or shut down even national services for days. So it's important that we do um, uh, look into these, tabletop exercises, incident response planning, and learn from these lessons. Okay. So again, I talked earlier about that nonprofit. They didn't know what they didn't know, and what they found out was that their backups had never been validated or confirmed secure. They didn't know what immutable meant, at a huge gap, and this had all of their client data. They were a small um, uh, lending firm that received funding from the government to lend to small businesses, and they're one of 34 offices in British Columbia, but I think there's 275 plus offices across Canada, and they're all independently operated, and so there was no centralization. So they hadn't had any kind of assessment. So I'm now working with other offices of this uh, organization to help them understand, get clarity and confidence with their maturity of their cybersecurity hygiene, build cyber resilience, and help them move forward with that. And this is how SecurityStudio is helping by allowing us to do these assessments to help these smaller businesses and smaller nonprofits who don't have the funding necessarily to do it to get the uh, get the assessment done so they can help them protect it because there already have been a number of their offices that have been compromised. And
Mhm.
again, they just don't know what they don't know. And so it's about education and informing them and giving them clarity and visibility into their organizations to see how uh, how to make the changes they need to do, build assurance, and I give them a roadmap for improving their resilience. So um, and it's just the really key lesson here is that even even the trusted providers require oversight, and the lenders they need a risk assessments, and they got to illuminate some of these critical gaps so they can have better informed decision making and stay within business and help the businesses that need funding to grow. Right, so it's about and it is ultimately about economic growth within the region, and that's important here. So trust. So the blueprint, And I won't spend too much time on this, but it really we're talking about using risk assessments and transforming them into a strategic advantage. So shifting their perspective and looking for at least the top three critical blind spots. If you can get that, then you can get clarity on most of the most dangerous and most common vulnerabilities, and then gives them a roadmap to go forward. And then because every organization is different, I tailor the security processes or tailor and adapt the the processes they need to do or the controls to implement more robust practices. So it's understanding how the business operates and what it needs to do to stay in business and build business continuity. So it doesn't matter whether you're a nonprofit, small business, or a large enterprise. It's just the same. It's just scale, really. And then uh, so if what I leveraging the complementary risk assessment can be done with the nonprofits as well as if you're looking at a small business, just to get them started and then lead them into the a full assessment, which will help
Sure.
move forward. Okay, so trust, and it's about gaining trust. It's the most valuable asset, and trust protects our data, our infrastructure, and reputation. It's a foundation, everything we built on. Um, and it's the blind spots that threaten that trust, right? So proactively identifying these vulnerabilities through a risk assessment, you cultivate trust, unwavering trust, so everybody can depend upon it. So when doing a risk assessment, it's about building trust, and it's more just than just risk mitigation. It's about building a solid future, ensuring the continued success of the organizations. So safeguarding trust is our top priority. Um, so here's where we get to talk a little bit about Security Studio and Security Studio Academy and the CVSOs. So I've talked long enough about this, but every organization has hidden vulnerabilities, and it's important that we uncover them before any kind of risks or catastrophic incidents take place. And so whether if you're dealing with an objection and we don't have the time, it's too much money, offering a complimentary assessment can often break the ice and move forward. Right, Dave?
Yeah, just to add some clarity, you and I are kind of neck deep in the weeds on this stuff. So if I just take it back from a little bit like a 500-foot perspective to anybody that it might be new to. At Security Studio is a SaaS platform that you can run, that organizations will run risk assessments on. And like Walter was saying, it'll take all the stuff that you walk and talk through, and it's comprehensive enough that a lot of things that might not have been known or seen, ensure that they get covered. Um, that's where Security Studio sits. Where I'm at during the day with Fatima and Andy is within Security Studio Academy, where with we don't as much, we're not directly with the risk assessment platform. Our focus is more on education and professional development. So we do have the course that teaches CVC, so educations, and allows for accreditation at the end of it. One thing that Academy had learned over time is that we could bring in people that didn't have experience. We could give them some book knowledge and a good understanding of what the foundational knowledge that a VC so needs to have. But in striving to help support graduates of the program and give them some real world practical experience, we got it approved. where we can offer complementary risk assessments to small organizations and nonprofits, because the mission really is to take these things that Walter's describing, that people, that organizations don't know, and share them with that information and try and help make them more resilient. So what we do is we can offer complementary risk assessments to, again, nonprofits, small organizations. So if you are one, hit us up, let us know. We can explain to you what happens. And then in doing them, we have some of the graduates, pick a small group, to shadow on the assessment. And that's where they start to get some real world experience and understanding of what is the risk assessment, how to navigate through one, and ultimately help everyone level up a bit. Yeah, and thank you for including these, Walter. You know, where, and for anybody interested, if you hit me up, I'll drop my email in the chat and we can walk you through it. We've got a PDF that explains how all of that works, but it was designed really to help educate professionals that are wherever they're at in their career to level up, and to help small organizations protect themselves. So, did that
We have
sound okay, Walter?
That sounds great, Dave. Hey, do you have time for that last poll? Does anybody want to jump in?
Yeah, sure,
Okay.
sure. So I just dropped my email address in the chat for anybody that may want to chat on it. Happy to chat, no expectations or anything like that. And again, we're not asking anybody to open up their wallet on those. I did get a note offline just to remind everybody that is an ISACA member that it's renewal time. So do make sure you renew. And if you have any questions on the renewal and you're part of the San Diego chapter, ping us. We're here for you. If you're part of Walter's chapter, ping him and there for you. But let me go ahead and I'm going to relaunch poll four, which was the first one that I had done. And really, this is if anybody is interested to let us know. Within Hatham, yeah, we'll be sending out the CPE certifications by email shortly after this. And it just, we have to do the audit. We're ISACA, so we audit. And just make sure that you were here presently for a majority of the time and participated in the polls so we know you were actively engaged in it. But yeah, those are coming out. Um, it looks like some people may be interested. Again, I drop my email address in there and just ping us and be happy to talk to you about it.
Yeah,
Um,
I've dropped my email address in there too. If anybody has any questions or wants more information or interested in connecting with me for whatever reason, I'm open to that as well.
yeah, dude, if you want, let me grab it real quick, but let me get your LinkedIn URL, and we can put that in there as well.
Yeah, appreciate that, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah. No, dude, appreciate it. I think we've managed to kind of stay up to speed on the comments and questions within the chat. So I think we're good there. There's Walter's email address. And cool. I think, well, so let me here, I'll end and share the results of that poll. If anybody does have any questions, now would be a good time to drop them in the chat. But we definitely appreciate everybody being here. Thank you for the kind words that we're getting there. And if you have other questions, just hit us up. Um, but I think that's what we got. Uh, on that, Walter, is there anything else, any final thoughts or anything, or we can let people go?
Yeah, again, I just want to say thank you everybody for attending today's webinar. It was a pleasure speaking and sharing my views and opinions on risk assessments and the value of Security Studio. And I think being part of ISACA is one of the most well, I guess I appreciate being part of ISACA because it is enlightening, and people I get to meet and get to learn from as well as share with is always a pleasure. So again, if anybody's any questions, just reach out to me either by email or on Instagram. And LinkedIn is my primary platform, so I welcome the opportunity to chat and build relationships with you and offer any kind of clarity or assistance. And if that's good, Dave, I mean, I would really think, enjoyed today's presentation. I hope you enjoyed it too, and
Yeah.
I got a lot of value out of today.